proudest day and the proudest time in the seat of a rally car, because that day and that hour and those minutes, I got the bit between my teeth. You know, I really stood up and was counted and said, this is not getting away. I remember when we pulled on our helmets and Donald says to me, what are we doing? I said, we're going for gold, Barrett. That's all was said. I can still picture that run. That was just the best run ever.
Welcome along to Krunching Gears, the Rally podcast, Season 3, Episode 33. And Connor, we're going to talk rallying once again. We've finally moved on from Donegal, but we'll still talk about it a wee bit here and there, but not too much, you know. A normal rallying returned last weekend, and Jon Armstrong and Eoin Treacy, who joined us, had a fantastic run out in there, and they're going to tell us about their latest exploits. And then Aidan Wray and Peter Ward, who won Loughgall there at the weekend too, is going to tell us about their thoughts on that event.
Yeah, and then this weekend coming up with the Tipperary Stonethrowers, and we chat with COC Adam Coffey and also one of the competitors, Mike Chen, who people will probably know from WRC TV. And then to top it off, Gary Nolan joins us to chat about his new rally magazine.
Yeah, double caution, yeah, so that, you know, we've got lots on again this another busy week, but that, you know, how brilliant was that performance by Jon and Eoin last weekend? You know, come away with a good strong haul of points. That's them up to fourth in the championship now. That's fantastic, really, isn't it?
They're in a really good position. You know, we're halfway through the championship, 4 rounds done, 4 to go. We're also, for them, next round up is Rome onto tarmac, which Jon, you know, is very, very solid, very strong on tarmac. I suppose grew up on that, really, competing on it. So they're in a great place, and they had some really strong battles, particularly with Hayden Padden and Mads Osberg. And, you know, it's a bit surreal mentioning, you know, those names and that's who they're fighting with, but that's where they're at the minute. And it's just fantastic to watch.
Yeah, 2 guys that won rounds of the World Championship, you know, and our boys fighting with them. That's brilliant, isn't it? It really is. And that's always the thing with the European Championship. There's a lot of local guys come in and only do maybe 1 or 2 rallies. So, you know, and they're kind of specialised to those events. So for them to be finishing so high up and getting such strong points, it really, really is great.
Yeah, and look, you know, as we get to hear when we chat to them, wasn't the easiest of rallies for them, and they had a few issues along the way which they had to overcome, and really did fight back from them.
Yeah, because I think that the recovery from the puncture on the first evening was fantastic, or sorry, the Saturday evening, and it was a great comeback from that. You know, it'd been very easy to let the head go down, but no, they fought back really strongly. And Hannah had a great run as well.
Yeah, Aoife and Hannah were competing, had a really, really strong event as well. Again, had tricky weather conditions like Jon and Eoin to overcome, but put a good performance in, and again, themselves are starting to really build the points in the RC Championship as well.
Yeah, that's for sure. But anyway, no point in us telling you all about it. Let's hear from Jon and Eoin first of all.
Jon, Eoin, you're very welcome to the podcast. A difficult, a tricky Estonian event, but you must be happy with the result, Jon.
Yeah, really happy with the result, Connor. I think it was a strong event for us and a good step forward for me and Eoin with the step up to Rally 2 and the European Championship. It's very competitive field, and for sure our pace was closer than the other gravel rallies. So that was really a positive thing for us, and a rally of ups and downs, but you know, in the end we actually got a really solid result even with those issues. And yeah, it means now that we're 4th in the championship after 4 rounds and another 4 rounds to go. So yeah, I think overall it's going the right direction. And yeah, Estonia is one of the coolest events. I think just the way that they organize the event, you know, even from signing on, they're so helpful and friendly and well organized. And on the recce, you know, the stages are completely set up with, you know, all the RO chicanes, everything you could need. Just an event that makes you feel so at home and comfortable and confident. So I always really enjoyed to go to Rally Estonia, and the big jumps are always one that tests your nerve. There's still plenty of times when you're like, your brain's telling you to maybe lift a wee bit, but you just have to keep your foot flat and take the jumps flat out and corners over crests, and it's just a really nice event, to be honest.
I know in your first time in Estonia for yourself, what was your what was your thoughts on the event?
Yeah, as John said, it was a really well organized event, and the recce was made really easy, having the stages set up. And I suppose I knew it was a fast gravel rally, but yeah, it definitely delivered on all of that and more. I think the test was an awakening as to how really fast it is. And yeah, as John said, the crests and jumps are just mental, really. I suppose you see the clips there, and it really is that fast. It's hard to believe when you're coming down to those jumps that he's going to keep her flat through them. But yeah, definitely a great rally that way.
And Owen, very tricky weather conditions throughout the weekend as well.
Yeah, I think the weather was very changeable. We did a dry free practice, and then less than half an hour later it was raining for quali, and same again on Sunday afternoon. We were sitting out in the regroup in the sun, proper summer's day, and within a half an hour there was trees falling on the main road on the way out to the power stage. So yeah, real tricky weather conditions. Never really a moment's peace that way.
And John, you were in the thick of it fighting with Hayden Padden and Mads Osberg. Like, only a few years ago you would have been watching them on WRC TV, maybe not even imagining you would ever have the opportunity to be going head to head. Is it a bit surreal? Like, do you have to pinch yourself and go, wow, this is actually happening?
Yeah, it's definitely strange because, as you said, those guys, you'll be watching them on TV whenever you're, following WRC as a teenager in early 20s for me, and to be able to go up against them and start to trade times is really a pleasure, to be honest. To fight with them, and okay, I think when you go to each rally in the European Championship, you have the local drivers, and they really up everyone's commitment and pace. But it's nice to see that our pace throughout the year can be quite close to someone like Mats Osberg. Even Hayden, he's had a couple of issues on some rallies, so we've been actually quite close to him as well. And I think in Canaries, our pace was actually faster than his on the first day. So for sure, it's really cool, to be honest. Driving at that level with the Rally 2 car and the coverage that you get through All Live and the attention that you can have on yourself, you really have to make it count, and you have to just try and do the best job you can and put everything else to the side. Then it's just you and the car and no one, the co-driver's seat, down the stage, and you're trying to go as fast as you can, learn and keep improving. So but yeah, the caliber of drivers, from ex-WRC drivers to really good local national drivers, upcoming stars, yeah, there's everything there. So there's a wide variety of people to compare against, and even if you're not battling with someone that you were previous weekend, you might be battling with someone else that you can use as your gauge. And yeah, I think that's one of the best things about the series.
And Owen, when you get to the stop control at the end of each stage, I mean, whose time on the board are you looking for? Who you benchmarking, or who you comparing against?
I suppose it depends stage to stage, but yeah, generally you're looking at that whiteboard wondering, where do we slot in, and you're always going to have cars behind you, but I suppose it's nearly always the guy directly in front of you because he's the closest on the previous leg, so that's the one you're going to want to be ahead of. So this weekend it was always nearly the car in front you were looking at. And then afterwards you have to wait for the times to load on the road section for those coming behind. Just see, yeah.
And John, Saturday, 10 stages on Saturday. I think going into stage 9, you were 7th overall. You were level pegging with Mads. And then, what do you call it? A couple of deep ruts and you got kicked out of one.
Yeah, Saturday was a really long day, to be honest. I think we were up and out of the hotel 6, and we weren't done till like 9. that night, and it was just a full day's rallying. But yeah, it was a bit strange. Like, you would do 2 stages and then repeat those before essentially the midday section. So you were doing a second pass almost twice in the one day, and you had to change the ride height before that second pass in the morning, and it's the same in the afternoon. But yeah, in the afternoon on stage 9 was whenever it was really going quite well on that stage, but for whatever reason, we'd been on a really wide, fast road and just turned into one of the narrow sections again, which typically in Estonia, the wide roads, because they get so much traffic during, public, traffic of people going to work, whatever, it gets really hard compacted. It doesn't really rut up that much, but on the narrow roads, they don't get as much traffic, so yeah, they get so rutted up. And I turned into the corner, and I think the car gripped up in the rut quite quickly, pulled me towards an anti-cut, so I tried to make a small correction with what it felt, but the car sort of reacted more quickly than what we were expecting and sort of shot us out wide. And then it was a matter of trying to gather it up again, but we didn't have much room on the outside. There was a tree which had a lot of branches and leaves at the side of it, so I didn't actually really know what I was gonna. If we were going straight into the tree, but we were kind of going into the branches of it, and then glanced the actual trunk of the tree with my back window on my side. So that spun the car around, and we got a puncture on the other side from just from going off. And thankfully, we didn't do any damage to the geometry, the suspension, the damper. Everything was pretty much perfect. It was more just cosmetic damage. So I think it was one of those. It was an unlucky moment to shoot off like that, but it was also really lucky that we didn't do any serious mechanical damage, and we were able to keep going. Okay, we lost 50 seconds in total because of the puncture we had to drive to the finish on. But then we went into the town stage after that, and we decked the car ride height wise, and just sort of put it behind us and got back into the rhythm again. We were, I think, 5th fastest on that one. And that sort of set the tone. It was then just a matter of trying to get the car squared up, which the team done a fantastic job the following morning, just to make sure it was fully re-prepped and ready to go for an attack. And then it was down to us to see what we could do. He had dropped from 7th to 11th, which is a big drop in positions, but we were only like 3 seconds off jumping 2 spaces in front of us at that point. And we knew we had the pace to get ahead of both those drivers based on what we'd done on that Saturday. So yeah, it was just a matter of trying to attack then on the final day.
And Owen, only 4 stages on the Sunday, and a lot to do to clamber back from 11th overall.
Yeah, I suppose after looking at Saturday with 8 or 9 stages, it was looking like a big task with only 4 stages to do it. But yeah, I think, as John said, we set the tone the night before, and then in the morning we went out, and by the first service we'd already climbed ahead of 2 of those drivers, and we were gaining on the 3rd. I think then coming into the power stage especially, John playing a very spirited drive there, so we managed to get up an even further position that we probably didn't see coming. So yeah, it was great to climb as high as we did on the Sunday. Yeah.
And John, as you mentioned earlier, this midpoint in the season, 4 events to go. Next one is Rome at the end of July. You've been there before. What do you expect, or what, it's a tarmac event. What do you expect it, to be like?
Yeah, I think it's a fantastic rally to start outside the Coliseum on the Friday night, I think it is. It's just such a cool atmosphere. But the actual proper stages, there's a bit of everything in them. They're abrasive, they're bumpy. You've got wide places and then narrow sections also. probably suits me, to be honest. It's like quite. You have to get in such a good rhythm, and the car's you're always asking a lot of the car and the tire, and you're trying not to overheat the tire, which can be hard. But if you can get into the right rhythm, then you can make a good time. So I'm looking forward to it, to be honest. A lot of the stages seem to be similar to last year, so hopefully we'll be able to, build upon the pace notes that I made last year and improve them. I think building upon the only tarmac rally we done, which was Canaries, there's a lot of. We felt there was still a lot of potential left in us. We didn't have the perfect rhythm the whole rally. I think if we can focus now on nailing, even more where that rhythm can be got from in terms of setup and tires, and just learning a bit more about the car as well and how things develop over the rally. I'm sure we can do even better. So, but the one thing is, and of course you're going to have really fast Italians again coming, as you have local drivers everywhere that turn up. So it's not going to be easy, but no, I think we'll go there fighting, because it's it's a rally that you can really push on. So we need to see what we can achieve now.
And Owen, as we mentioned, they're midway through the ERC, and you're fourth overall in the championship. That must be it's a good place to be, I would imagine, at this stage of the championship.
Yeah, for sure. Like, when you look at the names that are on the table of points there, it's quite good to be in the fourth position. And I mean, across the top four, it's still quite tight. So yeah, it's a very strong position. And Jon said now 4 tarmac rallies coming, so there's good chance to get into a rhythm on the tarmac and try and build on from the Canaries, and on each round hopefully keep building. Yeah.
And Jon, we see, with the evolution of the Rally TV and ERCs getting really strong coverage now. And one of the things that I suppose we're used to seeing from the WRC is before the stage starts, we'll see some of the competitors watching the onboards or the live in-car. They're getting an idea of what's coming or what's in the stage. Like, you had an opportunity to do the same yourself on a couple of events for the ERC, where you're actually watching the guys ahead of you. What are you picking up? What are you looking for when you see that? Do you have much time even to take it on board and process the information?
Yeah, I think drivers watching the Rally TV coverage, the live coverage of the first drivers going into the stage. It's a good opportunity for us to learn what the conditions are like on the first couple of kilometers. Depends on your running position. You might be able to get a good gauge on the whole stage if you're running farther enough back. But yeah, just can set a bit of confidence into yourself too. You can see, this driver, they're of a good caliber. They're attacking really fast in this section, and from our level as drivers, we know certain sections, we can recognize them off the spot. So you know exactly where that is, and you can see like how fast they're going through it. Gives you a gauge on the grip level. If a driver seems to be really tentatively going through a section, then it's a good indicator that the conditions are actually probably quite slippery, and that you're going to need to adjust your entry speed to places. And yeah, it can just give you an idea if someone's taking something really flat out as well, just to give you that reassurance. It's definitely changed rallying that you can do something like that nowadays. It really makes it a different ball game. But it's not always easy to have the time to do that either. If you're running 5th on the road, which we've been in that sort of area this year, you've only got 4 cars ahead of you. So usually if you're getting ready before the stage, Owen's doing the tire pressures, I might be changing damper clicks, we're putting on our helmets and all that process. and then you're getting some heat into the tires and getting to the start line. Sometimes you don't have a chance to watch it, but it is always worthwhile to make the effort when you can. And even for the super special stage on Friday night, I was watching, all the first drivers go through and could see some of the lines they were taking to open up some of the corners, and we set a really good time in there. So I think for sure it's a really good way to get your head around the upcoming stage and really attack it. So yeah, it is crazy to think that we're doing this now, because 10 years ago this was never part of the game, and now it's something that you need to be doing because everyone else is.
Yeah, I think on the opening stage you were second quickest. You're only 8/10 or something slower than Hayden. Like, it was an incredible time.
Yeah, it's actually a stage where there's a lot of stage side furniture to hit. I think actually Craig Breen hit one of those rocks in 21, I think it was. So it is a stage that you have to have a bit of caution on, and that's in the back of your head, but you also have to try and push. So yeah, it's like any stage. If you get into a rhythm from the first two corners and you just try and carry that, and yeah, I think for me it actually didn't feel like I was doing anything special, but it seems like I was in a good rhythm, and sometimes that's all you need.
And Owen, we mentioned at the start of the chat that this was your first time to go to Estonia, and working with MI Academy in advance of the going there. Like, what supports are there for you? What guidance or advice or helps there to when you are going to a new event?
Yeah, I suppose over the past few years, I've gotten more and more used to going to new events and working with the academy. You kind of develop your process and they'll give you guidance, and then eventually going to a new event just becomes normal and you have the confidence to go in there. It's also good when the likes of Jon has been there before and you can just have a look through the old notes, or you might have recce DVDs or onboards like Rally TV for Estonia. Being a world around the last few years, you could just catch a glimpse of what the layout is like, what it looks like. But yeah, I suppose working with the academy, you have Alan and Paul and Sean, they're all there to help you and give you advice. So yeah, it's very helpful. And as I say, just doing the events this year, they've all been new events to me, which is good because you're just getting into that rhythm of being capable of taking on new events and being comfortable with it as well.
And Jon, getting into the thick of it with Mads and Hayden, and putting in the solid results you're putting in, it must be fantastic, not only for showcasing what the Fiesta can do, but also for your sponsors as well. Great opportunity for them to get a bit of the limelight.
Yeah, exactly. I think first of all, building into this rally, we really wanted to try to improve our pace. And we've been receiving a lot of great support from the MI Rally Academy to try and just push us on, and also from M Sport Poland. I actually went out to Rally Poland the week before to have a chat with Adrian Formo and his engineer, just to get a bit more understanding of the car from his side and potentially where I can improve. So I think that makes a huge difference, to be honest. Like, to have people around us that are pushing us along, I think it gives both me and Owen that fire to push on and to really, get the bit between our teeth and just do the best we can to really find some extra performance. But yeah, all my sponsors in the background, and also Owen's, they're also supportive, and it's important to have a good performance on the rallies stage times to really have that good feeling behind what we're trying to achieve. I think you have to go there and try to do your best, and that's that's a reward that's shared with everyone. And my sponsors are all individuals and companies that are passionate about motorsport cars, and we're chatting to them regularly to keep them updated. So no, it's just a big thank you for everyone who's given us that support, because you need it. It's not easy at that level. You need good people around you to push you along, and okay, when things go wrong, you need good people around you too to say, look, it's okay, you messed up, but there's another day to fight for, and you have to keep believing in yourself. So yeah, and also from our side, to be driving with M Sport and to be showcasing the Fiesta is such a pleasure, and I think we're really showing, especially Canaries and Estonia, that even despite the lack of experience that me and Owen have at that level, we're able to put in times and fight with the guys around us. We're now 4th in the championship, so for us it's a pleasure to be given that role, to show what the Fiesta can do, and we're pretty confident we can keep improving, and we'll see what we can do now in the tarmac rallies.
Thanks to Owen and John. Fantastic to get the opportunity to catch up with them after such a hectic weekend. And speaking of hectic weekends, Kevin, you had one yourself, and Loughgall was part of that agenda.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I took a run up to Loughgall on Saturday morning, and great rally. I have to say, I enjoyed it. The road stage and then the park itself. A nice format, works well, and a good out day. We've seen very little rain, which is always a bonus too when you're out too, and it was nice to see Aidan Wray and Peter Ward. The two guys have been rallying for a good few years, and the both of them taking their first outright one too, which makes it nice, really special for them. So I thought that was a great chance to catch up with them too. So Aidan, the elusive one finally come on Saturday, but you've been rallying now a good few years. Started out in Civics, then into the Evos. You've served your apprenticeship, and it's been a long time coming. But I think that's probably the best way. You learnt your trade. You started off in the Civics, end up into the Group N and all. Those were good years for you.
Yes, Kevin started off, suppose, so when I started off rallying years ago in a Suzuki Swift maybe, and All Track, the Rally Sport Association there, and then we moved into the Civic, and went on the end of the road in the Civic for a while, and moved then into an Evo 9, had it for a short time, and then went to the 10 then, had her for maybe about 5 years. Yeah. She done well for me, in fairness. We got 3 national titles overall and stuff in her. So they were good. I suppose it was good build up and stuff in the Evo, but the cars now today, the Polo and I suppose all the R5s would be a lot different than the Group N cars, in fairness. But I suppose you had to start off on them as well, so you did.
Yeah, I think that in particular that Evo 10 was really good to you. As you say, you won 3 national titles, and you got a lot of miles up on it as well too. And nothing beats seat time. And Peter, you've been competing for more years than we care to remember. But you started out the same. You started out with your brother, and then you kind of started to spread your wings a wee bit. You've seen rallying evolve over the years, but it's probably a good thing is starting in the smaller classes and working your way up through.
100%, and you can sort of see it down south with the juniors. That's a great bedding for anybody that's looking to start. One, I suppose, the expense is capped on it, because if you had a pot of money at the bottom of the shed, you just go straight to a Polo or a Fiesta, whereas that curtails you, but it learns you such a lot of stuff. You know what I mean? And I suppose even from my perspective, I started on the other side of the fence. I started in marshalling and timekeeping and all that sort of stuff, and then was fortunate that got into a car. Mm-hmm. But the other side of the fence is equally as good, if you know what I mean. It gives you grounding for how rallies run, regulations, stuff like that. So I wouldn't discount anybody from dipping their toe onto that side, as well as the ability to, be able to drive too. Like.
Yeah, because that's very true, because like there's so many marshals like that, as you say, started out and not really knowing where to go, and maybe not familiar with how motor clubs work and one thing and another. Get involved in marshalling. Get, even as you say, see it from the other side. See what's involved behind the scenes, because it takes all that and a lot more to go with it to allow you guys to do what you do.
100%, and funny, no further away than Saturday in Loughgall, waiting on the prize giving, was chatting to a well-known figure in the Ulster Rally, and this conversation came up, and it was actually, he said that the young people coming into the sport, yes, we'll bring them into the car and the road driving, but equally, that is probably somewhere where I think maybe there's something that needs to be done regarding to bring younger people into the organisational part.
Mm-hmm.
Because, no disrespect, but if you look at like the people that are doing it, and fair play to them, it's not a slight on them in any shape or form, but you know what I mean, they've been there and they've done it, and they're probably tired, and they would like nothing better than somebody younger, you know what I mean, coming in.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because most rallies you go to, and as you say, it's no disrespect to the people doing it, but the average age is it's fairly high. Uh-huh.
Yeah. And I suppose, and again, I'm only saying it his name, and it's like Ronin Comerford, was the man that steps out as current. He was doing his rally and etc. And fair play to him. He stepped in like he was had a role in Donegal. He was there on Saturday. You know what I mean? But like, I think we need more people of that age. Like, I've sort of gone the opposite way round about it. I was the marshal, I was the timekeeper, I was working in Maiden City, you were the secretary, etc. And then you stepped into the car, whereas it should be the other way about. You should do it and then step out and go help.
Mm-hmm.
Not saying that I won't do that or can't, but you know what I mean? I think it was something that we need to, it's unfortunately something that's coming down the tracks at us, that I think we need to look at that.
Mm-hmm.
Younger blood organisation, as well as those participating.
For sure. And even we've seen that now with Motorsport Ireland. They're trying to encourage young ones to get involved in marshalling as well as competing as well. And like it is vital. We need the young blood coming through the sport.
Yes, I tell you, I suppose marshalling is a very, very important thing in rally, and seem to be getting harder and harder to get there as well, I suppose. But you need a lot of young ones that's coming up as well. They push the whole thing forward a bit and show their interest, do they?
Mm-hmm. And like you said, you started out in the rally track, the Rally Sport Association, like Sacadui, Money Glass, and them type of events. Like, they are a great stepping stone as well. Like, the Junior 1000, brilliant initiative. Get people behind the wheel, and even if they never take the rally, they've got great car control when it comes to being on the roads. That if they do get themselves into a sort of handling or something, they know how to cope with it. They don't panic the same.
Aye, that's it, Kevin. I would definitely believe in starting off with that. Hey, I think it's a big stepping stone, definitely. Especially as you say, learning about car control and stuff, and I suppose maybe it learns the young ones a bit of respect for the road as well when they do get on the road, or when they are the age to get on it. I even have my own two wee boys at it there. They're 14, coming 15. I have them doing the junior rally in there as well at the minute, and I do a bit of navigating for them, so do. So, but no, I definitely think it's very good now.
Yeah. I could, Peter, it's a great initiative, like it's getting young people, it's getting them to interest, we're always saying, oh, young people are up to no good, but we need to encourage them to get involved, to do these things.
You touched on the point there, Kevin, about, motor clubs and people not knowing. Well, I probably was that soldier, you know what I mean, back in the day. You were standing on the edge, watching them going past, and then you were going, well, I'd like to do something here, and then you get the introduction, you know what I mean? John Declan McKay's local to me, Maiden City, Robert McDade, people, that were in it, doing it, and then you just get brought along, and then the next thing, you were standing doing a time control in Donegal, and that was nirvana, you know what I mean? That was the pinnacle of your life, where you going, and you get a sticker for your car, and you were the man, you know what I mean? But, that's where I get my enjoyment. And I'm sure if we, well, maybe we're working on different times now. People have different things to focus on. But I think if you're a car person, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
That's the road to go. But I think it's definitely something that, everybody that goes out and stands in the corner, or the person that stands at the road end, everybody, they have to be applauded for what they do, from the clerk of the course right down to the person standing with a rope at a dead end junction.
I didn't never see a rally car the whole weekend.
Exactly.
We were just driving past them at road speed.
Exactly. They all have to be applauded 100%, because if they didn't do what they did, well, then we wouldn't get to do what we do, and you wouldn't have.
No,
we talk about it.
What did nothing to talk about?
Nothing to talk about. So it's like, it's definitely, they have to be applauded from that perspective. 100.
Yeah. And Aidan, like, probably from your point of view, like that area you come from, like that whole Strabane, Derry area, like it's such a rich vein of rallying. You think of your brother, Martin Cairns, the Cairns, that whole clan, even spreading out into Castlederg, it's such a vibrant, rich rally community. Was that how you got involved in the first place?
I suppose, Kevin, I'm coming 34 now at the end of this year, and I've been at it since I was no age. I just driving. I suppose I just grew up around cars. My father would have been at cars, and then Frank, the brother, he would have been at them and stuff. Sort of knew nothing else. And then I just got started into the racing, the junior, the stock car racing, and then moved to the all track with the rallying and stuff, and just from there on, But like around where we are, even in the small area, like there's a lot of boys. It's very into the rallying. Like in fairness, it's good. Like it's good to see them all into it. And, the likes of Niall there as well. He's running his own team there now as well, which is a big help. That's definitely a big help for the likes of myself now. For the car and stuff. He's near hand. He's a close friend of mine. It was all our life, so we're on the way together. They're putting in a lot of effort there as well. So it's good. Like it's definitely good.
Yeah, because Peter, that's probably something we always used to think years ago. Oh, you need to get a guy over from the UK to run your car. The local guys. Maybe they might be all right, like in a lower car. But the guys we have now are world class. You think of IN Sport. You think VSM. You think of Ryan Loughran's crew, or all these different teams, and they are producing cars that are as equal and better to anywhere else in the world.
100%. You know what I mean? You touched on the three local, Adam Platt, and that. Yeah. You know what I mean? VSM at the time, like ran like Donna Kelly and that. And you look at how it's progressed. I sort of use the analogy. Normally, whenever you were sort of scene boy starting out, if they had a good going transit van, they were well away. And then they progressed to a lorry with a kitchen, and then like you look around Donegal and you look at it, and it's like, my God, you could have been a Formula One pit crew area because of some of the trucks that's sitting there, like. But it's more the professionalism, and I think, you know what I mean. Say take the like Aidan, Martin Cairns, whoever, they're spending a lot of money on purchasing the car. So you know what I mean. I think the guys are rowing in behind that. Well, if they're spending the money, well, right, we have to. You know what I mean? Up our game to ensure that whenever they go out, that they get reliability, etc., etc. And like, I know for Martin, because that's who I would have been sitting with most, like the reliability that he gets from his cars, unreal, and no different for Aidan and Sport as well. Like, so, that's I think that is sort of to tie that whole thing together. Whenever you hear Dirtfish, whenever they came to Donegal. Never been there before, the whole spectacle and everything else that was so like around it. And then you go, well, that's them, and they've been all over the world doing it, and they're raving about a 3-day event we had 15 mile or 25 mile away from where I'm sat here. So that says a lot about all of the guys that are doing their work. You know what I mean?
Yeah, because we do kind of almost put ourselves down. But we are, what we have here, everybody else comes here and talks about it in such glowing terms, and we probably don't see it. Like, Peter just said there, like this wee rally up in the northwest coast of Ireland on the outermost reaches of Europe. And guys are coming here raving about it and come back year again, year after year.
Aye, that's it. Like say Loughgall there, we done it, and I think I done it in 2020 in the Fiesta. Myself and Kieran, and it was a wild wet day. I mind doing it. We went up that morning, and we had a good enough run. We finished fourth. I think it was fourth overall, and then we went back last year in the polo, and really enjoyed it. Finished second overall, and then we says that we'll go again this year. I had an entry. To be honest, I had the entry in from, I think maybe before Donegal, or before Donegal Rally started. And, I wasn't sure whether to go or not. Says I'll see how I get on Donegal, and I still wasn't sure the week before. I didn't really let the boys know to maybe Tuesday or something. They was asking me a few times, but we didn't know what to do. But it says then I'll go and try and give it a good shot, you know.
Yeah, because the level that you were going up against, you had Jason Mitchell there, you had Aaron McLaughlin, Eddie Doherty, who's leading the national championship. So it wasn't going to be a soft run. You weren't just going there just to drive around and get a one. You were going to have to go there and put on your big boy pants.
That's it, Kevin. You had to go and go hard. I suppose Aaron's riding fast there, and up around there, he would know it well enough too. And Eddie Doherty, I suppose, he's in top form. He's cleaning up there this year. He's going very well. And then the likes of Jason, who's going very well as well. And then I suppose Damien Toner was going to be there in R5, which is a man with plenty of experience up there. In a way, he got a bit unlucky, but hey, you weren't. You had to go and push hard at it, like. I suppose I sort of, them kind of rallies, I don't really mind them. I enjoy them. Some people doesn't like the park because it's slippy and greasy and stuff, but I think if you're neat and tidy and just you're on the ball, you should go all right in it. And then the road stage very fast and committed. So we knew Eddie would be going fairly hard in the road as well. So I think me and Eddie had the same time, maybe the same minute and second on the three stages.
Mm-hmm.
There was maybe like 0.2 of a difference on two of them, and we were joint the same on the first stage on the road. So it was very tight.
Yeah.
It was only on the last, I think maybe on the last two or three we got in front of him.
Mm-hmm.
Same, the last stage in the park, I says like we would have had to go raving hard through it because, he was there only maybe 4 seconds away.
Mm-hmm.
So it was good. Hey, very tight racing, and it was sort of made it good, made it better. We having Eddie there as well.
Yeah.
For the result at the end, like it was better that he was there too. But I definitely enjoyed it. Now, very, very good day's rally.
Because it's not even a typical park rally. Like it's not just like not a circuit, because the way they can change it up, they run it and then they reverse the way it runs and everything. There's so much in it. Like there's fast flowing stuff, there's technical stuff, there's really tight Nigeria stuff. And it's a good length as well too, because some of them track kind of based events can be quite short. But that stage there's a lot of driving in it.
Aye, there's a lot of driving in it, and as I said to the boys the weekend, like that stage in around the park is as tricky as any stage in a national rally. I know, don't get me wrong, it's not that long of a stage, but you could do a lot of damage on it if you weren't watching or weren't being sharp on it. But it was very greasy under trees, and you're carrying a bit of speed and stuff. And even on the first stage, felt like we drove through it. I think everybody was similar enough. It was that greasy and slippy every time you put the power down. The car was just lighting up the wheels. But I always say that park's as tricky as any wee road stage, so it is.
Yeah, and like Peter, from your point of view, like whenever he's coming through the stage thinking, no, this is not working, and you have to sort of maybe kind of tell him, keep going, you're doing okay here. You have to allow him to keep his head.
No, Kevin, that's not my form. I wouldn't be shouting at him to tell him to go on. No. You're talking to somebody totally different. It's quite funny, Aidan was on about the park and that, and it's like you drive we cycled it on Friday evening. Then you look and you go, there's a big tree there, and there's a big bit of Armco there, and there's a big stone there. And then what do the organisers do is they start setting lorry tyres out as if you didn't have enough to contend with. So, but I think we need to go back to what Aidan said there about, the competition was there. Like Eddie Doherty, to me, he's definitely a talent.
Yeah.
And you look what he's doing down south in the National, and like he came there. Fair enough, people would say that Aidan had that experience. Well, he came there and he was quicker than us in the first clip through the park.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So that set the marker for how good he is and how he can adapt to any environment.
Mm-hmm.
But then whenever we had a bit of a conversation, we'll say after the first run through the road, it was like, well, we're going to be on it here, and you had to be that way for just because that level of competition was there, which, you know what I mean? And like, we were sitting at the start of the last stage, and I says, you're going to have to go as hard as you did the first time or the last time down here. I says, to keep them honest, and like, it's simply outbrake yourself, a wee bit of a handbrake at a junction, it's gone.
Yeah.
So it was like, we get through it, and it was like too quicker, and I just says, hey, if he goes 6 or 7 quicker than us on there, fair play.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, and you sort of know within the first 2 or 3 corners what the guy with the important supposedly what his mindset is, and you go, right, it's going to be that kind of a run. So then you then have to do as you said, put the big boy pants on and go pull them well up and go, right, let's go here. You know what I mean? So, that's
yeah. I like Aidan, you're sitting at the start of that last stage, and Eddie's that couple of seconds behind. Like, is the mindset, I'm not letting them have this. I'm if he's going to take it, he's going to have to go really hard because I'm not going to give it to him easy.
Aye, look, Kevin, I suppose you sort of just say that into yourself and hoping it'll happen. I says I'll just have to drive it brave and hard, and I sort of knew. I knew by the time before it, us taking, I think we took 4 out of him on it. I sort of knew that I should have been able to stay in touch or maybe match him, or he shouldn't have took maybe 2 or 3 out of me if he did. But we sort of, it was probably the best run through the park the whole day, to be honest. Sort of just started off nice and clean and tidy and fast, but I knew I'd have to drive it good and hard, because if he took the right motion, he would have been there or thereabouts. So I knew he was going to go for it as well. So, everybody wants to, when you're up in there in them positions and not far from first, you want to come first. You know what I mean? So we had to just go for it, and that was it. Hey.
And whenever you come to the end of the stage, did you feel it was as good as you could have given that stage?
Well, look, I knew I'd give it a real good rattle. I think we were the only car to break it under the 4 minutes. I think we done it in 3:58. Everybody else was 4:01. Eddie was 4:01, I think. I knew we'd give it a good run. There was probably a couple of places I could have drove a wee bit harder, but I would have been running on maybe a chance of sliding out wide or something like that. If you had to take the chances, you could have, but I knew you drove fast and clean where we could, and I was sort of hoping to myself it should have been enough. So when we seen Eddie's time up in the computer sort of after it, we were happy enough. So
yeah, and that has been the combination. You've worked hard for this to get that fight, and get that number one. It's been a while coming, but it's been richly deserved, because you can see the pace just has been the same as the way you were in the Evo. The pace has just been building, and then you hit the sweet spot, and you're able to stay on it then.
Aye, that's it. I suppose with Evo, I was out doing them national championship rounds. I tried sort of not to miss any of them. And then you were doing the Donegal, and maybe if there was any mini stages, we'd have been doing them as well. Just out there, flat out sort of helped. And then I suppose when I got into the Fiesta, we could say nowhere for a while. We were just, I suppose at a certain point it can be a bit frustrating because you keep going and going and going. You're wondering, are you ever going to get any quicker or get up there with the times and stuff? Like even the likes of getting the polo there took a while to come on. That sort of got it before Donegal last year. And I sort of feel that I'm only starting to come on that car there this last while.
Right.
More so this year, my results are sort of starting to show a bit, and just putting a bit of work in, and I'm only writing notes as well, coming up on 3 years.
Okay.
Writing my own notes, so I suppose it took a wee while to get all that right as well, and just everything coming together. We have a good team there now around us, and we have a good car, and everything just has to click as well. We do put in a good bit of work to the effort, or to the notes and stuff, put in a good bit of effort to the notes, and do a lot of studying and stuff, the DVDs and all, but I suppose the likes of Donegal there, you'll be sitting and going around stages all that week, and you don't even want to look at DVDs because you're doing that much shit, but again there in Donegal, we were having a good run on the Friday. We were sitting 8th overall on Friday, and we wouldn't have been well far away from 7th, and then see how quick it can happen. We went in the Loughgall Saturday morning and just braked a bit late on a crest and slid in the ditch and got stuck, and that was it.
But like, even the way you come back from that, like, you know, it'd been very easy to get the head down though, but you come back going out under Super Rally, and the times then, you know, were still really good, and like that seat time will stand to you, you know, because you can go out and test and all, but to be actually up against the clock, I think that you probably improved more there than you ever will going up and down the one piece of road.
Yeah, for sure. Like we were thinking when that happened Saturday morning, I was sort of saying to myself that I might back out, and the more I thought it, then this was when we were on the stage before we got towed in, but the more I thought it, the car wasn't really damaged. We'd only bust the radiator. So the boys came out, put a radiator in her, took her into service, and I wasn't sure what to do, and I says, we'll go back out in Super Rally and join in. And don't get me wrong, I suppose it's very hard because you're trying your best to make sure you don't go off the road. I know you can go off any time, but you would rather go off when you're in the mix than in Super Rally, I know for sure. But it was good to go back, and I suppose even for your notes and to learn more of the stages for next year as well, and even learning the car. I think you're as well going back out and trying to stick it out to the end.
For sure. And Peter, like, you know, you've seen the evolution of the cars, you know, from, you know, the Escorts right up into, you know, the early Group A cars, into the World
Yeah,
cars.
but could you could skip past that, but because then you're sort of painting the dinosaur story there. You know what I mean? Just a lot of experience on this.
You've been wait a few years. But you see, you know, these latest incarnations, these are, you know, Rally 2 R5 cars, like, they are some piece of kit.
I didn't come home sort of every time you get into one. It's like an eye-opening experience. And we tested on Thursday, was it, Ian? Thursday. We tested on Thursday. Sun shining, chewing gum tires, and I never felt G-force like it on tarmac in my life. I got out of the car, and it was probably that evening before I come back to myself again. It was like phenomenal. You know what I mean? Round really what you would deem as slow corners, but the speed that you can carry around them is, whenever everything's right, it's actually scary. But then I suppose you sort of, sometimes you come off the end of the stage, look at your time, and look at the guys that's at the pointy end, and you go, oh my God, you know, how's that done? But like probably get a glimpse of it, probably so much so on Thursday, of what they're actually capable of. You know, but again, we were saying earlier there that, you know, you turn up, you had a 12B or a 12 whatever, or an 11 at the time, and you were the boy. And like now it wouldn't even be in the races with a car which is a fraction of the power, you know what I mean, and less technology. But yet, no, I think that's what's good about it, is that it's a level playing field. A lot of it's down to, well, your tire choices, but then it's the driver. And just how much you want to commit to.
Yeah, because like Donegal, the top 5 places, 5 different makes of car. Loughgall there at the weekend, top three different. It is, as you say, it's the tires, it's the two guys in the car that's making the difference. Like there's no one car miles ahead of the rest, and probably in the world time that we had the world cars here, unless you had a Subaru or a Focus, you were nowhere. And that now such a variety of cars, and it's given everybody a chance.
Oh, aye, and it's you hit the nail on the head there that unless you had the budget to go to ProDrive and say, give me the yoke, you know what I mean? There was people probably got results because of what they had beneath them more so than the car did a lot. Whereas, these cars, you have to be driving them all the time. It's like a few years back, probably in the inception of them, probably the Super 2000, and I had a conversation with Ali Fisher. And I was sort of like, well, how do you get this thing to go this hard? And he says, you can't be off it. You know what I mean? You cannot be off it. So it's like you go hard around the slow or the fast corners and harder around the slow corners. And that's, but like I suppose, and going back to Aidan, like I sat with Aidan and we were in Mayo on that infamous skating rink day. You know what I mean? And it sort of like proved if you drive the thing right, we were fourth that day and all be catching boys and that, and we were only fourth by 6 seconds on a day where a lot of other boys fell foul of it. And I think that's probably down to the man that was driving it. And that day was more impressive for me how Aidan had drove the car in those conditions.
Yeah.
And then again, something's about the car and the tires, etc. You know what I mean? But they're definitely, and it sort of like begs the question, where do we go next? Because we've been evolving. So what's the next evolving of that type of a car? You know what I mean? That'll be mind blowing, like 1,000. Well, we're nearly there with a Toyota. You know what I mean?
The 1 litre car.
You know what I mean?
Sorry, the 3-cylinder car. They're still they're still 1600, but they're a 3-cylinder.
Yeah. So.
And like Aidan, for you, like probably for now you're on Group N, like a world car was like just wasn't even in the thought process because the budget it was taken to run them and all. Do you feel that that a Rally 2 R5 car is making it a wee bit more affordable and a bit more? It's still a very expensive car, but is it more affordable? Maybe that's where it could be coming from.
It's hard to know, Kevin. I suppose I wouldn't really know what it would be like to run them world cars, but I know they're not cheap, they're not easy to run. But I suppose they're not the Rally 2s there aren't crazy to run. Some of the parts you have to buy for them is more expensive than others, but they're not really crazy to run, I suppose, in certain ways. Just engine rebuilds and stuff like that. It's probably the worst part. But I actually was looking at a WRC, believe it or not, before I bought the Fiesta. I had one sort of nearly half bought of Paddy McVeigh, his S12. I had always a notion of them, always liked them, but I was sort of maybe glad then that I went down the R5 route, especially the day, because there's just getting more and more of them, and they're so competitive. As you say, they're very level playing field with them as well.
And I suppose to go now and compete in the Donegals or Corks or whatever, you really need it the latest generation car now.
You would do, definitely. I would say there's definitely a big difference in the I suppose the Mark 1 Fiestas or the older R5 cars to the Rally 2 cars now. They're definitely more grunt and stuff in them. It would be very hard, I would say, for somebody to compete in a Mark 1 or an older R5 car now. They put in the times, they just wouldn't have the power, I would say, or the legs compared to the Rally 2s there, so they wouldn't.
And Peter, maybe I suppose we need to start wrapping up. We've touched on it, you've been rallying a few years now. Do you still get the same fun out of it? From you pulled on the belts there on Saturday and, getting into that last stage and the one was on the line. Is the butterfly still there?
Hey, it's for me. It's I need to be on. I need to be on my job because the guy beside me is dependent on it, and if he's on his job and I let the side down, well then it's on me. You know what I mean? So hey, it's like you just for me, it's about doing a good job, trying to do as best a job as I can. That you can come to the end of it and you go, hey, that was okay, like, that was all right. So, and again, it's sort of, you're sitting there and you're 4 sections in the lead of a rally, which is sort of like, it's an unknown for me once before in I'm not going to use the word time rallying, not career, time rallying.
Illustrious career, is that the word you're looking for?
No, definitely, it's far from illustrious. But you know what I mean? And you're sitting there and everybody's putting their effort in, the guys running the car and sport and like Aidan, blah, blah. So you don't want to be the fly in the ointment and go, oh, oops. So, it's more for me, it's do a good job, make sure that everything I said I was going to do, I did and got it out whenever I said I should have got it out. And then hopefully it all comes together, you know what I mean? But to me, navigators get a poor rap, I think, because they're sacrificial lambs. I'm going to step up here for the Navigators Institution. They're the first to get shot, and that's their fault. And I was getting a lot of ribbon at the weekend about who won the rally. Aidan Wray won the rally. And I was asking, what do you call the world Kelly Robin Perez Navigator? And I says, not sure. And they went, exactly. So I was like, right, fair point. But no, hey, for me, it's do a good job, to be the best you can do. And I suppose from my perspective, I've been really fortunate that I've got the experience I've gained. Other people have given me the opportunity to do that. From the very first rally car that I sat on with Brendan Connor to, Jason Mitchell taking you to ERC, all of that. And even Martin Cairns this past number of years, the evolution from a world car to R5, I have to be thankful that they took me,
Yes.
you know what I mean, to do that. And that's invaluable experience, you know what I mean? So from my perspective, it's like, yes, you got that experience. Thankful that other people took you along for that journey. And then, hey, whenever you come now and getting on with Aidan, it's like, right, that's my thruppence hitting his worth.
Yes.
And as my son says, he says, you listen to everything and only decide what you want to do yourself.
Mm-hmm.
So,
mm-hmm.
you know what I mean? Sure. And that's, I think, hopefully what works. Aidan might tell you different if we go offline. You know what I mean? Hey. And the other thing too, you have to get on as well. You have to get on with the boy beside you too, because if you're just there to do that particular part, you know what I mean, it doesn't really work even on a personal level as well. So, yeah. But no.
Aidan, that is very important. It is the relationship in the car too, because whenever you're on stage mode, you're wound up to the hilt, and then whenever the clock's not ticking, you need somebody to bring you back down. You don't need aggro in the car. You need a calm environment.
Oh, you do surely. That's definitely a big part. Hey, you have to definitely get on well with the boy, and I always like having a bit of crack too, and in between, even before the rallies, even out making notes and stuff. Enjoy a bit of slagging and just a bit of banter and stuff. But you definitely have to have a bit of enjoyment and get on well in the car as well. And then suppose when it comes down to the getting in behind the light and heading into the stage, it's a different story. You're just taking it more serious. But I definitely always think you need to have a bit of crack as well, because it's not all serious all the time. You have to have a bit of fun and enjoy too.
Mm-hmm. And then I suppose the last question into yourself is is the buzz still there? Do you still get the same thrill with it all every time? Every time you get into a rally car, it must be a good day.
Oh, it is surely. Hey, I love it, to be honest. I suppose, as I says earlier, that's all I know. I have no real choice. But I really enjoy it. Hey, even the buzz and the build up there. I suppose for a long time there, I was wondering to myself, is the one ever going to come or even close to it? But I definitely enjoy it. It's very, very good sport. I know it has its bad days and good days, but it's definitely enjoyable. I would like to just keep doing it for as long as I can, anyway, to be honest.
So thanks there to Aidan and Peter, and the guy that finished second in Loughgall at the weekend, Eddie Doherty, leading the national championship. And we're going into the business end of the championship now, round 6 this weekend, the Stonethrowers. And it's going to be another busy busy rally, that, and all the title contenders are there, Conor.
Yeah, look, it's a fantastic entry for it. And, really, I suppose the fight's on between Eddie and Josh now. And, Sam's not far away, and you have Daniel Cronin there as well. It really is going to be an interesting event.
Yeah, this is going to really start to shape up where the championship is going to be decided. And with the power point, or the point for the one on the last stage, the power stage, could come down to that at the end of the season. So that's the great thing of the national championship. It is all go from the first stage to the last stage. There's no letting off. There's no backing off. It's just flat out all the way. And then the new COC for the Stonethrowers is Adam Coffey, and I get a chance to catch up with him. And then that'll run into Mike Chen too, who's over competing. You'll know him from WRC TV, as Conor said earlier, and that's a lovely story there as well too. So first of all, let's hear from Adam. So Adam, the Stonethrowers now only a couple of days away, and you've gone from poacher to gamekeeper now, and a big change of roles for you.
I have. I've taken off the helmet for a while, and I've put on the organiser's hat. It's definitely different to see it from this side of the fence. There's a lot more to it than arriving at sign-on on Saturday morning and being handed a pack, and your biggest problem is trying to find the first location for stage one, as opposed to now where it's been going on for the last 6 months or so. It's a definitely a different animal than what I would have been used to.
And you've seen the sport from the other side. It's not a simple job, as you say, just turning up. There's a whole lot of organisation. There's a whole lot of people that you don't even see over the weekend of the rally is involved in the whole thing.
Oh, it's a different ballgame completely. We started planning the rally back in October, I'd say. I started driving stages in October, November, and that by January, we had our stages picked. I went for stages. I was probably a little bit selfish in that I went for stages around here that I always quite enjoyed competing. Over the years on the Zone Thrower, so I put a competitor hat on for that. All right, there were stages I enjoyed. Nice, fast, technical stages, plenty of driving in them, and they're safe. But that was last January. We had our first look at it from a safety point of view in, I would say, over the Christmas break. Actually, it was the week after the Bogra Rally Sprint. I would have been December. We had our first look at the stages with the safety officer. So you're going back as far as then,
Yeah, and that just shows, we take for granted, as competitors, as media, whatever, turning up. And this it's all there. It's natural. Sure, that's happened, but doesn't happen. Somebody has to make all these things happen. Whether that's the placement of a bail, whether that's the placement of an arrow, whether that's arrival control, a stop car. All this there has to be a plan put in place to make all this happen.
Yeah, there has, and I mean, even what you're saying there, bails, where they're going to put the stop car. I'll give you an example. I drove the stage initially with with our safety officer, for example. And I said, I'm going to put a flying finish here, and I go down there, and I'm going to put a stop car there. And he said, you can't do that. He said, they're on opposite sides of the road. He said, because the wire can't cross the road. I said, never thought of that. Simple things like that just won't enter your head.
Yeah.
It's a very, very small thing. And on the day of doing the event where you're saying you're putting a stop car and suddenly you can't put a stop car there, it's a big problem.
Yeah. And how have you found it? Is it something that you've enjoyed seeing, the new challenge?
I actually have. There's been an awful lot of work to it, but I have enjoyed it. I'm lucky. I have a lot of people around me. To be fair, I have good friends with Graham Scallon, James Coleman, Declan O'Keefe, Rallies Commission, Rallies Committee, even in fairness, Aidan Harper and MI. They've all, anytime I had a question or a problem, pick up the phone, you have an answer. Or even if a curveball came in over the last couple of weeks or whatever, I'm not overly sure about this one. Not awkward resident, but a resident that could be locked in for the day. Someone that doesn't understand rallying. Why are you closing my road? That sort of stuff. Ring up any of these people that are running events before. Kevin O'Riordan at Cork's been an absolute masterpiece, to be fair to him. And only for these people with years and years and years of, I suppose, hardship behind them, putting rallies together, they've been a huge help to me, to be fair to them.
Yeah, and that is the one thing about rallying. nobody, there's no hidden agendas. There's, everybody comes with an open book. If they have an answer, they're more than willing to share it, and that has to be applauded by, that goes right across the whole country, north, south, east, west. If anybody needs help, everybody helps. There's a glut of people there to help you.
There is, to be fair, 100%. As I said, I've had plenty. I'm lucky. Even within our own club, I've had people say, my own deputy, Derek Gibbs, he's deputising the Stonethrowers for the last probably 3, maybe 4 run-ins of the event. So I'm probably speaking to him more than I'm speaking to my wife at the moment. But the way it goes, there's a lot to it, definitely. We were doing the competitor packs in the hotel last night, and we were going through we don't have competitor packs and the location packs. But for example, the location packs, it's all well and good having your location, but then you've got arrival control, start radio, start control, midpoint radio, all getting different sort of master sheets, all of a different type of pack. I actually had a competitor standing behind me last night that looked over at me and was like, "Geez, it's a lot easier just arrive and go, isn't it?"
Yeah, you don't know the half of it. And that is another great thing too. Having good people around you, your club members, your team, you need that there, because you just physically can't do everything. You need people around you that if you delegate that job, it will be done.
Oh yeah, 100%. Like, for example, there was 15 or 18 of us last night in the Talbot Hotel, the HQ, putting all the packs together. We also had 4 lads out on the stages, putting out the bales, putting out all the tire chicanes, all that kind of stuff. We were getting all that ready in various farmers' yards last night. So you will not do it on your own. There's absolutely, but even on the event, you look at, we have 125-ish just marshals coming, not including one timekeeper, one stop car. That's just marshals. Put another 100 people down on top of that. When you talk about people looking after service park, looking after scrutiny, the tracking room, all our senior officials, our stage commanders, the list goes on. You just won't do it on your own.
No, and we overlook that so many times, because we look at a football match, GA match or whatever, and we see there's 50, 60 people there, and but rallying's so much bigger than that, because it's spread across maybe 30, 40 square miles. The amount of people that's going on, that you might only see them maybe once in that whole day, but they're at the end of the road, they're stuck at a location that there's maybe not seeing another person for the rest of the day, or another location that's thronged with spectators. Each and every one of them is a vital cog in the wheel.
100%, absolutely. And only for them, we wouldn't have a sport. Only for people, I can't believe the people I've spoken to over the phone, people I didn't know, people that, for example, Maria Donoghue, our chief marshal, is pulling people out of the sky for doing jobs. And people, a guy rang me yesterday from Galway Motor Club, coming driving all the way down to do a passage control. Didn't ask for accommodation, didn't ask for travel, just said, "Where am I going? This is it. Can ask me for a copy of the safety plan," something like that. Just give up their time. And look, to be fair, I've done it myself in the sense of plenty marshalling over the years and bits and pieces, but only for the amount, it's eye-opening to me, the amount of people that are required to run an event. And I can only imagine, I'm running a one-day Stonethrowers Rally. I can only imagine what it must be like to run the likes of Donegal or Killarney or West Cork or any of these 2, 3. I'd probably have, I'd say, if I ran one of them.
And then, the Stonethrowers Rally is a name that's synonymous with Irish rallying. There's so many great stories, there's so much history and all that. Do you feel that expectation on your shoulders as well too, because of the legends that's gone before you?
I do, yeah. It would have always been known to be a fast-flowing type of event. So people would have always liked to stages down around here. Now we're lucky; we have some fantastic stages. We have some fantastic stages within. Our loop, for example. By the time we leave the hotel, the road sections back in from leaving Park Ferme back to service areas, 44, 45 kilometre road sections, and 3 stages. There's nearly 1-for-1 with stage kilometres and road mileage. Over 3, as far as I'm concerned, 3 fantastic, nice, fast-flowing stages. Obviously, you have the history here with Frank Maher. Frank is synonymous with our own motor and this area. You wouldn't take 2 steps around here without listening to talking about Frank Maher. He actually, Micheál Maher, who sat in with Frank over the years and won the Tarmac Championship with him, he's actually this year with James Coleman in the escort. So Micheál is definitely telling me how it should have been done 20 years ago.
And
Another man rang yesterday saying, "You're around for the evening looking for hand throwing out bales." Yeah, no problem. Where, when, what time? I'll be there. Done. No issue.
brilliant, yeah. And that again is what we said earlier, And then as well as that too, you're so lucky have good, good sponsors there, overall sponsors and stage sponsors as well.
Absolutely, and without them, we would not have a rally. It's and I know it sounds like such a cliche when you say it, but it's the absolute truth. We got STS on board about 6-8 weeks ago, and in fairness to them, we approached them. The approach was made. They came back, said, "Yeah, sounds good." I spoke to them about, we'll say, the Killian Duffy YouTube show, for example, was a big seller with them. They came up, done the rally launch, and anything we needed done, no problem whatsoever. They've been great, as have been the stage sponsors as well, to be fair to them. And we've our 4 associate sponsors as well. Without them, we would not have an event. There's no question, absolutely no question.
Because there is a whole lot of cost being involved in, printing, and that's before you ever even open the entries at all. And then you're so reliant on entries coming in then to back up the funds that you've already spent.
Well, absolutely. I mean, when you're planning an event, you have to plan around having 150, 160 cars. Mm-hmm. So I mean, no point printing 100 road books and you get 100 characters. You have to have enough road books. You have to have enough. You have to have. You'll need the same amount of senior officials. You still need the same size of safety plan. All that, none of that will change. No. Whether you have 100 cars or 150 cars. So you have to plan. You have to run an event based on a full entry and the associated costs that come with that. That's just the long and the short of it.
Yeah, and that's probably where the national championship. We've said in the past as well about the way it's the rotational events now. Every 2 years, and now events are run with practically full entries, and that's great to see.
Yeah, it's great. I mean, we had 180 odd paid entries on the night we went. And you know what? As long as I've been involved in seeding Stonethrowers, it's always been fine because everybody was getting a run.
Yeah.
And there had to be 18, I think. How do you decide? Who do you decide on? And try and find a way of putting them on the reserve list. And as of just before I came on, they brought the 7th car off the reserve list into the main. So people, because of the 2-year calendar, to be fair, they're deciding to go rally and they're paying the entry fee and they're going. And that's been the experience I've had with Stonethrowers, is if someone said they're coming, that's it.
Yeah.
In the store.
Yeah. And the national championship, because it works for a lot of clubmen and one thing, that they're not having to take a lot of time off work. They can travel down Saturday morning, do the recce, do the rally Sunday, back up the road Sunday evening, and ready for work again Monday. It's a 1-1 for everybody, really.
Correct, and if I put my competitor hat back on, I mean, I've done nearly all the international rounds. I've done rallies in the UK. You're leaving home for a big rally. You could be leaving home Tuesday, and you're back home again Sunday night. Whereas an event, most people Friday night would be the latest you'd be leaving. Most from our area, particularly, you'd leave Saturday morning, 2 days away Saturday night, and then Sunday you're rallying and you're home at 9 o'clock Sunday night. Job done.
Yeah.
It's super. It's a super format. It really, and I mean, it's been reflected in the entries. To be fair,
for sure. And then you give us a wee brief sort of idea of the stages and the service area and all that. Then kind of where is the stages and where can we expect to see the action and roughly a time?
Yeah. So first stage kicked off at about 9:30, I think, on Sunday morning. It's kind of near Ardfinnan. It's an old stage. We would have ran a couple of 2015, 16, we would have been running them in kind of bits and pieces opposite direction. We ran parts in 2018, kind of goes out around, heads towards the Newcastle area and across and finishes in Ardfinnan. That's 15.5k. First half of it is quite twisty and technical. Middle part is really, really fast and flowing, and then you have a nice technical little section to finish it off. Good surface throughout most of it. Small bit of shiny tire in the middle of it, but other than that, there genuinely is a good surface in it. Come off the end of stage 1, you're 1.5k up the road, and you're into the arrival control to stage 2 when you're off again. That's another 15.3k stage. Again, probably one of my favorite. I'd be biased. One of my favorite stages in the country, because I've been competing on it since I was young. Nice, has a bit of everything. It's not too fast. It's not too technical. Really, there's a lot of driving in it. It's a big 15k stage, but a really, really, really enjoyable stage, I will say. You come off the end, that starts in Ardfinnan and goes around Grange and it finishes over near what we'd known would be near the N24 outside Care. And then heading towards Clonmel, it's a 9k from there into stage 3, and then a nice little 8k stage then from the N24 across towards a village called Clarehan here in Tipperary. Fast stage, short stage, but plenty in it. And then you're in your 8k in the road, then back into service, and that's the little loop. We're doing 3 stages twice, and then you're back out, and you're doing the 2 long stages, and that's the end of it. It's an 8. So I'm not running. We didn't run the 3rd stage, the 3rd time. Simply maxed out on when we maxed out on mileage. We're over 100 where we are. So, but a nice little event. I mean, first car is out of Park Ferme at 8:55 in for a 20-minute service. On the first stage around 9:30, and the first car is due back into Park Ferme at about 4:30. So nice, plenty of rallying, nice short day to be fair.
Yeah, and then if somebody's down spectating, obviously obey the marshals. They're there for your benefit.
I mean, we saw Rally Poland the weekend in the World Championship where we were losing stages left, right, and centre over nothing else other than bad sportsmanship with spectators. And we're gone like it. We have the safety is paramount. A couple of people have come to me with X, Y, and Z problems over the last couple of days, and what? At the end of the day, as I said to them all, I actually don't really mind what way it goes as long as Sunday night we're not dealing with a series. That and the same thing happens with spectators. If there's a spectator out, if the spectator is out there and the marshal is asking you to move, he's not asking you for the fun of it. He actually doesn't want to ask you. I've marshaled loads of times. I absolutely hate having to ask someone to move. Awkward. It's confrontational. But if you're standing in the wrong spot, just if marshal asks you to move, he's asking you for a reason. There's a reason behind it, and it's to keep everyone safe and obviously keep the show going. I mean, they have full authority to pull the pin on a stage in one phone call, done. And if I got a phone call on Sunday off a marshal saying I can't run here, I can't control the crowd, I just pull the pin. There's absolutely no question about it. So let's just try and not have that. That's all I'd be saying.
Yeah, and if somebody's out there and would like to get involved helping out in marshalling, is there anybody they can contact, or is it contact you through the Facebook page or what? Right?
We just shared the 3 marshal meeting points on the Stonethrowers Facebook page just before we came on. Maria O'Donoghue, who is the chief marshal, we're always looking for help. There's any amount of jobs there to be done, Saturday or Sunday, depending on what anyone wants to do. Excuse me. So I would say talk to Maria, and if you're around to give a hand out, be absolutely more than welcome to come down to Tipperary, definitely.
Well, Adam, the very best of luck to you at the weekend, and no doubt it'll be a huge success.
Yeah, thanks very much. Appreciate it for taking the time.
Jenny, thanks for joining us, and lovely to see you back in Ireland, and you're out competing on the Tipperary Stonethrowers.
Yeah, great to be talking to you. It's lovely. It's about time, isn't it? I've been listening to this podcast for a while. It's about time you invited me on for a chat. No, yeah, it's great, and really looking forward to the Stonethrowers. It's a classic rally. It's classic Irish rally stages, fast, committed, all the things that I'm probably not very good at. But yeah, Ireland is home to me, and I'm just looking forward to going back and saying hello to a lot of people, catching up with people, having some fun, and yeah, enjoying the rally, because it is a classic rally, and yeah, it'll be good fun.
And look, you have an extremely busy schedule from a work point of view between the WRC and then obviously the Rallycross now as well. It must be very hard to actually get a date that's going to work for you, and there's an event on in Ireland.
Yeah, you're right, but it's actually quite important to me that I go and do these things, because it's where you get a bit. It's bizarre. It's going to sound bizarre, but it's where you get a bit of peace and quiet. Going and doing that allows you to switch off to everything else that's going on, work and everything else. So I really enjoy rallying. It actually makes you better as a commentator and a presenter if you've actually been in there, because you've experienced it. My background predominantly is all circuit racing. I started out in karting and then race cars, and I still do radicals and prototypes and GT4 and stuff like that. But in doing that, it allows you to put yourself in the position of the driver. So I really do enjoy. I'm really looking forward to the rally, and I want to do more. And right now, to be honest, I'm only interested in coming and rallying in Ireland. So there you go.
Oh, well, listen, it's an extremely competitive place to rally in, and we've got fantastic entries in nearly every event, and a fantastic array of top end machinery as well.
Yeah, I think rallying in Ireland, particularly the tarmac, is as good as it gets. Really, I really believe that. And I said, you've got, or as you said, you've got everything machinery-wise from the modern day stuff, particularly the R5s, and good entries in R5s, right down to like Mark II escorts. And I don't think there's anywhere else on the planet that rallies more escorts than Ireland, but they are proper, particularly the modified class, And please God, we can get the WRC to Ireland, and I think the local boys would raise a few eyebrows as well, because the competitiveness and how stiff the competition is, it's high. It's really high. Certainly on the tarmac for me, not only has Ireland got some of the best roads, and I really mean that, and there are a lot of people close to us who said the same thing, but also there's some really top boys and girls rallying in Ireland, and so it's great. I'm looking forward to it. Come and say hello and being a part of it again.
Yeah, and not we'll go back to the Stonethrowers in a wee second here, but I suppose from your end of things on the WRC, between the work that MI Academy's doing and the fact that we are in the hunt for a return of the WRC to Ireland, like we are punching above our weight nearly here in world terms.
Yeah, you say that, but I don't know, because I do think stages wise it would be, the WRC is all about a challenge. And it's challenging the drivers. And I really do believe that when you look at the roads, across the country, particularly in the West, though, like you have, the roads would challenge the drivers. They did do when we were there back in the late 2000s. I think it was 2009, it was last run, 2008, 2009. And it was, they challenged the drivers then, and they will challenge the drivers now. And that's what the World Rally Championship is all about. So I think it would be great, really, genuinely, if we could get the World Rally Championship back to Ireland. I think the drivers would really enjoy the roads. Certainly, so far as the fans go, you wouldn't just get Irish fans. You would get fans from all over coming to Ireland and watching the rally and being a part of it, because let's face it would be a great party all weekend and everybody would be having fun. And that's what rallying is all about at the end of the day. So, as I said, hopefully it'll happen. And I think it would be a good thing for Ireland. I think it would be a good thing for the sport. And I'm sure the drivers would really enjoy it as well.
So last time I had you on the shores, Ravens Rock Rally last year, and anybody who's had the opportunity to watch the in-car camera, the pace notes were punctuated with laughter between yourself and Shonny Hassett. So what's the game plan for this weekend?
Well, you can't not sit in a car with Sean Hassett and start laughing. Ravens Rock was great, wasn't it? It was a great thing. But look, this weekend, John McKay is sat in with me, so it will be guaranteed. He is loose. John is loose. So his reputation precedes him. Great co-driver. We'll have a lot of fun together, and that's the main thing: is to have fun, to enjoy ourselves, to represent the brands that we're working with. And to be a part of it. The Rock was slightly different, I think, in how we approached it. But with the Stonethrowers, we'll probably have a little bit more of a dig at the rally. We'll try and get going. I'm not sure Andy Fanning will be happy to hear this, but we'll push on a little bit harder, and we'll get stuck in. And where we'll be at the end of it, we will be. The main thing is to enjoy it, to be a part of the rally, and to enjoy being around everyone back home in Ireland again.
And look, obviously you mentioned Andy Fanning, you're back out in the Skoda. So look, you competed last year in the Skoda, but you weren't on the door handles by any means. So, but at least you're returning to a car you're familiar with. So do you feel you'll be on going for a stronger pace this time?
We'll certainly try a bit harder, I think. Like I said, Ravens Rock was very much in memory of Craig, and the last thing that I wanted to do at the Rock was damage the car, damage the quotes. That was not what we were there to do. We weren't there to go hard. We were there for people to be a part of it. That's what I wanted. That's what we all wanted. We wanted everyone to be a part of it. That's what the Rock was all about with the quotes car. We do have a quote from Craig at the Stonethrowers across the windshield. It says, "Craig Breen, only you know your true potential." So that is on across the windshield, but the car itself is not covered in the quotes. It's not the same quote.
And just to look back at Ravens Rock, the whole quotes thing, it was very unique to see the car in that livery. I mean, it was a fantastic idea, whoever came up with it, but it really was. It was just something so different, and it really was such a positive talking point as well.
Yeah, well, I can say honestly, it was myself and Sean and Andy Fanning who came up with that idea, and we ended up with a lot more quotes than we anticipated. We put it out to everybody, and everybody responded. And to be honest, there were some that just didn't make it onto the car because we didn't have the space. The real estate just wasn't there, you know. So, yeah, it was very emotional, and it was just our way to try and bring Craig to the rally, you know, and that's what we wanted to do, and for all the people in Waterford and the surrounding area who would have been there supporting him. This was our way to try and do that, and I think it did the job. I hope it did the job. It was an emotional weekend, and yeah, it was. But it was at the same time, and this is going to sound silly, but at the same time, it was a great weekend because everybody was taking pictures of that car. You know, everyone was a part of it, and that's what we were trying to do. That's what it was about. So yeah, it was special. The Ravens Rocket. It was a weekend that I will never forget for both good and sad reasons.
Yeah, and the Stonethrowers as well. Like there's connections to Craig with that event too.
Yeah, it was the first place. I think the Stonethrowers was the first rally Craig ever did in a Honda Civic. So it's ironic that, and to be honest, this wasn't arranged. This wasn't deliberate. It just happened. You know, that's like so. So yeah, it's really nice. There is always a connection, and I'll be honest with you. There's 42 follows me around all over the place. It follows me around all over the place, and it follows other people around all over the place. And then this again, to go into the Stonethrowers, the same place. All right, it's not the same stages. It's not the exact same guys that it was back then. But yeah, you know, I think 2007, Craig did his first rally in a Honda Civic at the Stonethrowers, so it's yeah, for me, it's cool to go and do the same rally that he did. You know, in the car, albeit looking very different, but in the car that we did the rock in as well. So yeah, it's nice.
Yeah, and then there's the other connection as well. Frank Marr, you know, that was his home event, and that would have been Craig's hero growing up as well in rallying.
Yeah, absolutely. And to be honest, it was Craig who got me into Frank. And he was such a he'd be on at me to go and watch interviews and stuff with him. Such a humble man, you know. He was and what he could do in a 2-wheel drive car relative to 4-wheel drive cars around him was unbelievable. So yeah, like Craig had good taste in rally drivers. And he was his hero. And again, for it to be his home event, his local event, it all adds to it. It's very special. And yeah, and I do enjoy. I'll often sit up and try and look for Frank interviews. And I never would have done that if Craig hadn't put me onto him. But he was something else. There's no question about it.
Yeah, yeah. He had a knack for pulling out, you know, the more bizarre characters of Irish rallying, and you know, we often heard that at the end of a stage end, you know, there would have been a quote from somebody local, and I'm sure you guys never knew what he was going to come out with next.
No, but the thing is, the beauty of Craig Breen was he was Craig Breen. There was he didn't go through the media factory. Well, he did, but he just chose to play that when he needed to. But when he didn't, in the majority, what you got was Craig Breen. And that's what made him so special. So he was, you know, James Coleman said it, he was the people's champion. And some of the stuff that Craig came out with would either have you laughing or have you crying. And that's the way that he was. I miss him terribly and the whole sport misses him terribly. Really, the whole sport misses him terribly. He made rallying and the World Rally Championship better. And I was to be honest, I was chatting with Ray and Jackie the other day, and I said my biggest regret in WRC will be not being able to commentate on Craig's first win, because it was coming. Yeah. It was coming, and yeah, we were very close friends. We did a lot for each other. We looked out for each other, and yeah, and like I said, what you got, you mentioned his end of stage stuff. What you got was Craig Breen being Craig Breen. Didn't matter if the camera wasn't there, he'd have still said the same thing.
Yeah, yeah. And you know, is it too early to say what his legacy is, or is his legacy about, you know, living in the moment, having the crack, enjoying what you're doing?
Definitely all of that, I think. because he would always say that, and he was always telling people to do that. I remember once I hurt my leg in Poland. This is a good story. I hurt my leg in Poland. I actually destroyed my knee, all my ligaments in my knee. And the drivers, and I was lying in the hospital in Poland. We'd been filming there at the rally. This was 2017. And a few of the boys came in, drivers came in, and they were, "Oh, Chenny, really sorry. Oh, sorry to see what's going on. Get well soon." Craig was the last to come in, like 2 or 3 hours after everybody else. He came in and I was like going, "Where is he?" Because he would have been actually the closest to me. We were friends. Himself and Scotty and Whack came in because Whack was there. Paddy was there for the weekend. And Craig walks up. He knew it was my knee, and he slaps me on the top of the leg. And I was like, and I was like, "What?" And he said, "You'll be fine." He says, "Consider yourself lucky." I said, "What do you mean?" Because I was down about it, and I knew I wouldn't be walking for 4 or 5 months, whatever. And he said, "Consider yourself lucky," because he said you could have fallen off that motorbike and not be feeling your toes. And I'm like, yeah, fair play. And sometimes you need somebody to tell you that. Yeah. And Craig Green was the only one who went, "What's wrong with you?"
Yeah,
it could be a lot worse. It could be a lot worse. And that changed my attitude to this, because up until that point I was feeling sorry for myself, and then after that I was actually feeling quite lucky. So I would say his legacy is to be like that, to look on the positives of stuff, to enjoy things, and to be, to enjoy what you do, and to take every opportunity. And also, obviously, the Craig Breen Foundation. That's what we have put in place because Craig really believed in supporting young drivers. This was the Craig Breen Foundation is something that we have just carried on, really. He had all this in place. This isn't something that has been started as a result. Andy Fanning and Andy Hayes have really driven that, and have taken control of that and built it into what it is. And it's garnered an awful lot of support, and hopefully will continue to do so. But that was something Craig wanted to do. So certainly the Craig Breen Foundation is part of his legacy as well.
And what do you call it? Just to get back to yourself, I suppose, and the weekend ahead. We're obviously, weather conditions here are certainly a bit iffy, and it's been very wet and stuff. So, we could be looking at tricky conditions. How do you feel getting into that? Because, with the event you did last year was nice, dry, tarmac, etc. So, and I think before that, maybe previously you'd done a couple of gravel rallies. So, could be interesting.
I'll answer your question.
Yeah.
I'm praying to God it's bone dry.
Yeah.
I'm hoping Rally Spain conditions will do me, bone dry. Look, like I said, we're there. It's great to the people who are the companies who are supporting me. Obviously NAPA played a massive part in this, and it's great to work with them. Getting more and more involved in motorsport. They run the BTCC program over in the UK, and they're really forward-thinking, cool companies. So it's great to be working with them. And then, of course, Fanning Auto Parts, Andy Fanning, and it's his car. So once again, he's trusted me with his very special car, and it is a cool piece of kit. It's a real screamer. And massive support from those guys. And then, I'm hoping it's going to be dry. I have done 0 wet weather testing with it. I've never driven that car in the wet. I imagine even when you soften everything up, it'll still be a bit giddy. So we'll see. In the dry, I'm hoping if it's dry, I'm hoping to press on a bit. If it's wet, then the first kilometre, 2 kilometres, first 3 or 4 corners even is it's just learning. So we'll see.
Yeah, and how long before we'll see out under the MI Academy banner somewhere in the world stage?
I think that might be a little while. I might be a little while. Maybe with a microphone, but that's about it.
Yeah. Listen, Chenny, wish you the best luck for the weekend, and look forward to seeing you on the stages.
It's great talking to you. Thanks very much.
Yeah. thank you to Mike taking a bit of time out there to chat to us. Really appreciate that. And it's amazing to see him back over. And again, he's back out looking to compete, have a good tilt at this. And huge thanks to Andrew Fanning. That Skoda S2000, a gorgeous, gorgeous car. We saw it out last year in the Ravens Rock in Mike's hands, and now we're going to see it driven in a bit of anger this time. And again, with the support of NAPA, the auto parts company, like, great to see them being involved now in Irish motorsport as well.
That's for sure. That's for sure. So we'll be all eyes on the Stonethrowers this weekend. And then finally, I got a chance to catch up with Gary Nolan. Like, anybody that knows Gary or knows anything about rallying will know who Gary Nolan is. Like, his passion for the rallying. He's been competing for in co-driving seat for a good few years now. But like, he started up the latest online magazine, Double Caution. Like, you'll hear the way he talks about it. His passion is burning through the screen. It really is. No, I'm not going to tell you all about it. Go out there, get the magazine, just doublecaution.ie, go and look it up, find it. You'll not regret it. But anyway, let's hear from Gary. Gary, Double Caution magazine has been a tremendous success, but we all know that you have such great history in rallying. Like, how did your love affair with rallying really start?
Just as it's always been there, Kevin. There's no family ties ring to it. There's no history of rallying ring in the family. It was just, I know my dad was into it when I was younger. I used to go look at it and that, and I suppose there was a couple of videos around the house, but that was it. It was just always, that's all I ever followed. There was just absolutely nuts about it from day one. See, that's what it was like, so like us all, I suppose, it's just once you get the love of it, you never lose it,
No, once you get the petrol running through the veins, it's hard to get rid of, isn't it? So
it sure is, and I always say that the videos that I had when I was younger, there was videos of Group E stuff and McHale's Black Manta and all that, and hey, if that was going to catch you, anything would, so.
Those were heady days. And you mentioned the McHale name, like a name that has been such a big part of your development, right from the early days,
Aye, sure. It's just the way it all worked out. When it was always was. I was a massive McHale fan all the way from the get go, and then sure, I suppose as I've wore the year off, many people tell them that when I was 14, I was lucky enough to win a prize to navigate for Austin around Mondello Park in the ST185 Celica, and sure, 14 years of age, sitting with your idol in an X-Works Celica was just unreal, and no, listen, sure. After that, then bumped into him many's a time around after that, and his family and all, and it's been good to me. The sport's been good to me, so.
Yeah, and that the McHale family are such a great family. They're so, they're so open, and they're just rally orientated, and to be, to get a wee insight into that must just been tremendous. And the 185 is the car that he regards as his all-time favourite car, so that makes it even extra special for you, I would say.
Yeah, it was just a bit surreal the way it all evolved, because I was, as it was just when I was at that time, I was a big Toyota fan as well, and sure, big McHale. And I suppose when I look back on it, them 2 years as a McHale fan, 97, 98 were 2 great years to be around, because it was a car that Austin, he had a lot of luck with, and he definitely clicked with it. And that time in 98, sure, it had just come off the back of the famous 98 circuit when him and Bertie had the battle. And then I remember being up on Moll's Gap to follow down in Killarney, the following round, and I'll never forget. People say, what's your standout memory ever from motorsport for anyone? And if anyone ever asks me, it's that Saturday morning in the wet up on Moll's Gap. I'll never forget the atmosphere. I'll never forget my hair came around the corner. Remember my father saying to me, he was just kind of looking out the window. She was either going out through the gap or she was just bouncing off the rock face, but he was not taking his toe out of her, so. And sure, then, of course, that morning, then, of course, what transpired after when Bertie and Rory had slipped off and Nesbitt had on wrong tires and all, that morning was just, it was chaos, and it was everything, but no, it was a great time, and then a couple of months later to have that experience, so it was just unreal. it's over 25 years ago now, and I still remember it like it was yesterday, you know.
Yeah, you can recall every second. And then, whenever you got the age, then, and you had a competition license and all, was the urge on you then to get involved in the sport as soon as you could almost?
Oh, sure. Surely 16 years of age, navigator's license, suit, helmet, on you go out the door as quick as you could. The foot and mouth arrived. That was the only thing to put the brakes on, and so it was. But oh yeah, no. As soon as I could, I was into the passenger seat, and I suppose I got a couple of spins and double O's and that. But it was a man from Wexford from Ferns called Tommy Ryan, and Tommy had a 1600 Escort, and I suppose there was there was single stage at Wexford at the end of 2001, and I suppose that was the first competitive event I done, like, you know.
Yeah.
So
You thought you were Brian Murphy sitting in the passenger seat, I would say, that day?
well, actually, as you said, Brian Murphy had actually gave me his suit. If you remember, I believe it or not, it was Brian Murphy's suit that I had the time that him and Austin had actually rolled the Corolla at the end of Knockalla, the very famous roll. And after that, him and Austin must have changed the suits. And sure, when you're 16, you don't mind ringing the phone around and all this. And sure, I had actually rang Austin, and he got Brian to sort me out with a suit, and that was the suit. So there you go. It was Brian Murphy's suit sitting in the passenger seat in it. So.
Brilliant.
Oh, yeah. Oh, God.
Yeah. So then, I don't know, did you make the phone call or did Adrian contact you? But Adrian Hillerington come into your life and things took off from a rapid pace from there?
Aye, that was a big moment in my life, I tell you. The way everything has evolved ever since. But it was actually Brian Duggan. Brian was sitting with Seamus O'Connell at the time, and Brian dropped me a text. I knew Brian from a number of years before, and he said, how would you fancy sitting with a fella from the north in the woods for a few rallies? I says, "Jizz, yeah, no bother at all." And on I met up with Adrian anyway, and sure, things escalated very quickly. A couple of rallies in the woods, and I think it was something like in 10 weeks we'd done 7 rallies or something like that. And it was mad. And the Donegal was in the middle of all that as well, like, you know. So it was very quickly my eyes were getting opened up, and Adrian was a different character that I had ever met before as well. He was fierce competitive, like, you know. But at the time, him and Frank Kelly and Seamus were battling hammer and tongs nearly every day going out, like, you know. And it was something I had never experienced before, but it was deadly. It was deadly to be part of it, like, you know.
Yeah, because, like, every second counted on the stages, but, between the stages and away from the stages, like, great crack, great banter with them guys, I can only imagine.
I remember, I suppose I wasn't even navigating for Adrian a year, and we were doing the Donegal Forestry. It was a 2-wheel drive rally at the time. And I remember we came over the end line at the second last stage. This was very surreal. And Seamus O'Connell, we were battling with Seamus for the win, and Seamus had gone off over the finish line. And I remember Adrian, we didn't even get down to the stop car. He swung the car around. It's a good thing it's a long time ago now, so the officials didn't hear about it. But swung the car around or whatever it was, and he went back to Seamus, and he started towing. And as I said, the two boys were battling for the win. And here was Adrian, and he tried to tow Seamus's car out, pull her out of the ditch. I'll never forget it. And we were slowing the cars that were coming down over the finish line, between the finish line and the stop car. And eventually, the only thing that paid us was the fact Adrian was pulling. The next thing, the tow and I came out the back of Seamus's car, and that was it. Then we threw our heads at it then. But that was the crack that it was, like, you know. He wanted Seamus there right to the end and battle it. And hey, if we hadn't bet him, we hadn't bet him. But it actually, remember that night, like, there was nothing we could do. But that's the sort of, they're all the same. Seamus, Frank, they were all the same. Like, you know, that they do anything for you, still would, like, you know.
Yeah.
So
because there only has to be one on the stages. There was no point. You weren't going to run up by a rule book or somebody else having problems. It had to be one fair and square on the stages. That's
where it is. And hey, like, over the years, there was umpteen examples. Like, that year we all went off to do the BTRDA, and that was probably maybe even the best year's rally, and we had great crack. But there was always great camaraderie and great banter, like you said. And I remember coming out with scrutiny one time, and same crack. Seamus, something to do with O'Connell's car. I remember us having to tow him up this hill by, and you could smell the clutch burning in the car, like, you know. And we were there like, this show's got a stick a day's rallying tomorrow as well, like, you know. Oh, but no, like that was it. And as you said, it was all everything was just it was always on the stage. Everything was on the stages, you know, and you would do whatever you could to help the other man. I remember, hey, the other side of it. I remember us. We won two-wheel drive in Cork one year, and I remember Liam Brennan was sitting with Frank, and he knew the guy at the stop car, or sorry, the out control of service, and he knew the guy was a bit awkward, and Liam went down and Liam spoke the way only Liam spoke, like, you know, and he got talking and chatting and he got the two time cards signed. I'd say it was about half an hour later, saying, and myself and Adrian coming out. But sure, it was Gary Kelly that was in service changing our clutch. We had a problem with the clutch, and it was Gary Kelly, was actually Frank's brother Gary, was in service changing the clutch, and Liam had brought our time cards and he had brought them to the arrival control, and the whole thing was squared up, and there was no penalties or nothing. And listen, and I know it's easy to say it, but that's the way rallying should be. You win on the stages and you lose on the stages.
Yeah.
And hey, see around it, everyone pulled together. You know, that as simple as that. That's where the crack is, like, you know.
Because you still see it even now, you know, and especially among the modified men. If there's a problem, the car's up on the side, and there's, you know, 5 or 6 guys there and pulling and screwing and whatever needs to be done to keep the guy moving.
Oh, that's it. How many times have you seen it? I remember there when we came back after COVID there, and one of the first rallies I done was the Galway Summer, and Sam Moffat was out in one of the starlets, and Sam was out, and it was some one of the link arms or something had broken it, and here she was, we had her up on her side before the start of the stage. I think Sam was a bit unaccustomed to it when he saw the crack going on, like, you know. I remember Aidan Burke was in underneath, and Sam was petrified this car was going to come down on Aidan Burke, like, you know. And hey, the same crack only a month after that in Wexford, and I forget, our flat shift wasn't working on the first stage, and I don't know, there was no gear indicator or nothing. And hey, nice thing, Marty Toner only had to hear a whisper. Up the oak went up on her side, and Marty was in under, like, you know. And they're great. Hey, listen, in 20 years' time, they'll still be memories that'll be ingrained in my mind anyway, like, you know. As you know,
Yeah,
great people to be around.
Aye, like, no matter what other sport you do, there's not going to be that, you know, you're never going to get that in football, you're never going to get that in golf. It's only rallying that brings that out in people that need to get every man home.
Oh, that's it. Like, and you see it happening, you know, you still see it happening. I suppose if I'm honest, the rules are, as the years goes on, the rules are kind of turning tighter and all to kind of go against that. It's I hope it doesn't, you know. You got to keep that side in it, because at the end of the day, everyone that's involved in the sport on a national level, they're all going to work on the one-to-one. You know, like even there when we were in Donegal 2 years ago, and Alistair Fisher was battling for the win on the Sunday morning, and I think it was on Glen. He got a puncture or something like that. But you know, even that, I remember being at the start of Atlantic Drive, and like everyone wants to get in there, and like that was for the win for the rally, like, you know. And sure, then everyone remembers, was it 10 years ago when Declan Boyle's Subaru wouldn't fire up, and Derek McGarity was in under it, you know, trying to get her going and all, like, you know. And like, that's like, them boys are in cars costing 300,000 and 400,000. God knows what their rallyings after costing. Same crack, it's the same mentality. You know, there was no one lying back. There was no one hoping that they wouldn't get going. It was everyone trying to get the thing going, like, you know. That's what makes a sport. It makes Ireland a bit unique as well, because we all know there's other countries where there's rallying and all that, and other competitors are more than happy to just stand back and let the person's day's sport just die there on the spot, and that doesn't happen in this country. And I hope that's an attitude that always stays in the sport, like, you know.
That's for sure. And then, you know, we all know, like, you know, we get that wee bit older, family come along, and you decided it was time to hang up the boots for a while anyway.
It was just the way. Listen, when our Liam was born, just it became apparent very quickly. I was probably very naive, but it became apparent that I just wasn't going to be able to commit to the same amount of rallying, and so I just, what it was I had a chat with Adrian, and he was very supportive, and I just stepped back from the tarmac rallying. So we belted away with the forestry for a number of years. There we done the National Forestry Championship, and then I suppose COVID struck, and I suppose from a family point of view, once again, we just had to be, because of our situation at home, we had to be a bit more cautious, I suppose, than other people, even when the sport returned, and I just had to basically be the grown up and turn around and say, listen, I may just sit this out for a while, like, you know. Once again, Adrian was very supportive, and like, he's not just a man to navigate for as well. He's my best friend. Like 12 months ago, he was my best man at my wedding, and so when I got chauffeured to the church in a Corolla or rally car, so it's hard to beat that, like, you know. But he was very understanding, and I suppose from my own point, then maybe when I got back rallying for a few events, it made me appreciate him even all the more, like, you know. So, but yeah, that was it. Once family came around, the way I looked at it was, I had a very good opportunity. I had a real good opportunity to do rallies I never thought I'd get to, or rallies I always wanted to do, and I got to do them. I got to experience some across in Britain and whatever, like, you know, and I got to do a hell of a lot, and I was very appreciative of it. So when the situation arose that, listen, I just, at the time that I wasn't going to be able to commit to it as much, I was fairly accepting of it, like, you know. So I say that now anyway. Maybe I didn't appear at the time, like, you know, but I was, yeah. I got the head around it quick enough, you know.
Yeah, because, like, you know, we never say never, but, like, you know, the way it always happens, like, one door closes and another opens. Like, you got away, but you weren't navigating, but you still had the graw for the sport, you still had the love, and you wanted to channel that in some way. And, like, you come up with this idea for the magazine. Where did that idea come out of?
Just, I couldn't really pinpoint it on one thing, to be honest with you. It was just like, I was like a lot of people. I would have bought all the magazines, the Pace Notes, the Car Sports, Flats, no matter. Would have bought them and have them hoarded upstairs and out in the garage and everywhere, and motor and news and rally programs, the whole lot. And I suppose it just kind of had a realization from my own point that there's nothing major out there anymore, and it was a shame, if more than anything else, like, you know, because I not to try and look at it with rose tinted glasses, but I definitely feel in the last number of years it's been very much a golden age of rallying in this country in all aspects. And I know people can counteract that with, say, like the costs of rallying and all that, and it's getting over reach of a lot of people. But if you look at it from the point of, if you look at the top end of the rallying, and you look at Callum and Josh and Marion and Sam and all, and there was Ali Fisher as well, you have Matt Edwards. You look at all them, that they are some of the best drivers that have ever competed in this country, and their car control, their ability and all is absolutely up there with the very best that we've ever seen. And these guys are going out rally after rally competing, and there's like, they're just on the limit the whole time, like, you know. It's like, I know it's going back slightly a bit, but if we recall the clips about what the year Josh won the championship in the Hyundai, Josh and Andy won the championship in the Hyundai, the clips of Josh in the Hyundai was just absolutely just, it's as good as anything you see anywhere in the whole world. It was, he was absolutely on the door handles, like, you know. And I suppose it was that point, it was the battles, I suppose, seeing the battles going on, especially in Donegal. I have an awful love for the Donegal rally, and to see them not being recorded, and of course, obviously, there was other things that happened as well. There was low points in the sport, and there was tragedies and all. And I suppose I'd always be someone who, as I still have them, and still have the books and look back, and whether they're good memories or bad memories, I think it's nice that for people to have something to look back on. And don't get me wrong, I know with the modern world, you go on the internet and you can probably have as many memories as you want, but I suppose I just decided that I'd like to try and do something to do a magazine type thing again, to bring it back for the sport, because there's fantastic promotion around the sport. The sport hasn't had this level of promotion since like the 80s, if you get, you know. There's great promotion about it, and the work that there's so many people in the PR side of it is doing. So it's just another facet that I thought would be good to try and introduce back into the sport, like, you know.
Yeah, because everything at the minute is so instant, like, you know, and, like, you know, Killian and Andy, what they do is world class. There's no doubt about it.
Absolutely.
It's going to be in 10 years' time. There's not going to be the magazine there that you can pick up and look at, or even go online and find. You know, yes, you'll see the photos. Yes, you'll see the clips, but there's nobody there telling the story as such. You know, and to have that opportunity, like what you're providing with the magazine, is going back to that old, car sport, like motorsport news that you used to get on a Thursday morning. Like you were waiting on it coming in on a Thursday morning. You were counting down the days to the car sport come in at the end of every month.
Well, that's it. Like it's and as you said as well, and like I've been very grateful for the support I've got ever since I started up. But the photographs that yourself and Seamus and Trevor and everyone that supplied, when you can put them with the story and all, it's just, to me, it's like being able to freeze it in time, and you always have it, and you always have to look back on. As you just said, what Killian and Andy are doing, absolutely, like they have caught what they're doing, and they have ran with it, and they are making an absolutely fantastic job of it. Like it's absolutely, it's gripping viewing when you're watching it. Like, it really is. And this is just what I'm doing, is just another facet that I think is just to basically support the sport. Like, at the end of the day, for all the PR that the sport has, the other side to it is that the sport is, it's off the news feed from a national point as well. Like, so anything that any of us can do to try and promote it in a good way, in a positive way, I think is only good for the sport. Like, so yeah, like that was it. There was no real one reason, but I suppose, as anyone knows, I'm fairly partial to an old story, like, so so writing them came handy enough, I suppose. I nearly had to cut them back more so than anything, is what I have to do. So
And does it bring out, does it allow your juices to flow? Like, does it get your adrenaline buzzing when you're sitting there chatting to, like, Eugene Donnelly or chatting to whoever, to get that story and get the story behind the story?
yeah, like, there is, like, so far this year, like, first of all, I was speaking to a good friend of mine, Kieran O'Neill, and like everyone remembers Kieran from the 90s, and just reliving those memories. That, like, I was lucky enough to be around Kieran back when I was 9, 10, 11, 12 years, and was mad. Like, they were great times, they were great memories. I won't even go down into the stories, but as the 90s are far more accepted than the current times will be. But absolutely, they were great. But it was great to interview Kieran, and then I interviewed Mickey Joe Morrissey, and like, that was just, I just wish I had spoken to Mickey Joe Morrissey 20 years ago, because by God, that man could teach you things about navigating, like, and it's not many navigators that are able to tell you stories about getting shot at out in the desert and all this crap, like, So, like, that was, I have to say, that was when I started writing that interview down. I was like, I hope people are reading this, because this is I don't know how many people know this about Mickey Joe Morrissey, but like, I can't believe it, and there was other things too. And then I got speaking to Daniel McKenna, and like, I've very much the height of respect for Daniel McKenna. I think he's one of the best drivers in the country, like, and just, it was really good to speak to him as well. And as you said, hear the backstory, and just like everything that brought him all the way up, even to the World Championship campaign for himself and Andrew, and his BRC titles. And it was great to speak to someone about that. And as you hit
He's
on
so
there,
unassuming. He doesn't feel you the story, but the story he has is unbelievable.
oh, he thought, when he was saying it to me, he thought this was going to be wrapped up in half an hour, like, And here was me and him 3.5 hours later, still chatting away, and I'd have stayed chatting as well, like, but all, like, really, really good. And once again, it was great. Like, he just showed his class once again this year back in Monaghan, and like, setting top 3 times overall, and taking a 2-hill drive, against absolutely the best of the best is in the country. Like, just once again, just showing how much of a top operator he is. And Andrew in the passenger seat as well. The two of them, they're a serious combination, like,
I think they're just the perfect fit, really, aren't they? They bring out the best in each other.
Oh, I remember bumping into him during recce. I say it was was it 2000, maybe 2009 or 2010 Donegal. The two boys, like, and they were just taking it was 10, I think it was when they moved up to class 14, and they were just taking the modified by storm, like, and the two lads came along and just saying, I remember in a coffee shop in Carrigart, like, and just chatting away, and just absolutely the lads, they thought not that effect, and they go out and absolutely clean your clocks, like, you know. We were just looking at them in complete awe, and the two boys just couldn't understand what all the fuss was about, like, you know.
But then, you know, you hear the story of them from whenever they were like 13, 14, you know, playing the PlayStation, but rewriting the notes. That, you know,
Yes.
you know, that they were just so engrossed. They were so, that's all they ever wanted to do, and to let them, to see them fulfill their dream. Unfortunately, you know, they should have been world stars, but just if they had been in the MA Rally Academy now, you can
That's
just
it.
imagine the sky would have been the limit there, wouldn't it?
Yeah, and like there's as you know, when you look back on the years, there's numerous, not numerous, but there's many a driver or many a crew who you could say that, but definitely like Daniel and Andrew. If you look at the Pirelli Star Drive that they got that time, like or even the first time they went for it, like that, like they got that on, they got the nomination from their basically what was a one-off drive in a hire car that they hadn't done any testing in, and they went to the Ulster. I think they were seeded something like 28 or something like that. Was it the fourth or fifth overall after the first stage? Like, it just absolute pure natural. The two of them just a pure natural top competitors, like, you know. So to get to speak to Daniel with the interview, then it was lovely to do it. And as you touched on it, then coming up in the next episode, there's a very in-depth interview with Eugene Donnelly, and that was, I have to say, I was so thankful to Eugene. He gave a hell of a lot of time to do the interview, and he went right back to the very start, and he went through his whole career, and it was just a pleasure really to hear his side of it. And like, I've never even met Eugene, and he was just absolutely, nothing was a problem. It was just chat away and went right back to the very start. It was lovely to hear all about it and ask him. Like, I always remember the days of the G3 Escort in particular, like, you know, and then when he switched to four-wheel drive, and it was great to hear the ins and outs of it back then, and the relationship he has with Charlie and all that. I know you obviously had your podcast with him, and sure, the stories and all that were just gas, like, you know. But no, it was really great to have a chat like that. It really was, like, you know.
Yeah, because, you know, we are blessed in Ireland, the legends of the sport that we have, and they are 99.99% of them are fantastic people. But not only that, they are great storytellers as well. They think the likes of Cathal Curley, John Lyons. You know, these guys. You know, they were probably as good as anybody anywhere. The way they tell their story is even better. You know, it can sometimes put the hairs up in your arms just listening to them.
Absolutely. Like I know it sounds silly, I suppose, but it was amazing to think about that when Eugene was telling the story, he kept saying that it was always the case, was that the aim was always to get the car home. It was extremely rare that he absolutely threw the whole lock, stock and barrel at it. Like, you know, he was very clear that the aim was, especially when he moved into the Corolla and the Subaru, and the aim was always the championship. Like, it's amazing to think that when you watch the videos of him rallying the Corolla, and it was, once again, it was everywhere he went. It was every rally. Like, when you're looking at the videos in car and outside, it looked like it was absolutely on the limit stuff. Whereas if you ask him, or as he said in the interview, nearly always it was a case of the aim was to get the car and have it get it back, get the points on the board and get it back for the next day. And you know, it was really interesting to hear that side of it, like, you know, and it was very, very interesting. So I have to say.
Yeah, because I always think of the 2007 Donegal when he was competing against Loeb and all these guys, you know, and he got a puncture on the Sunday, and he said that he was watching the tyre delaminating that was ripping off the wing, and he was thinking there's $5,000 gone watching the wing go. But, like, you know, every other driver would be thinking, how far was it to the end of the stage? How, you know, where he was, you know, because his rallying was so tight for budget and one thing and another, he was over every wee nut and bolt almost.
Well, one thing I found amazing as well when he said it was when he had the G3, and like I've been lucky that I done a lot of rallying in a very good modified car, as good as there has been, and I had the best of the best Millington engine, tractor gearbox, and or Drent gearbox, whichever it was at the time, and everyone would see it now. All the cars have that. When you think back to Eugene Donnelly's G3, and the drives he put in was a finished eighth in Donegal International, the seventh on the Car 20 with Cork. He had a major moment. In Killarney he had a major moment as well and lost time. He put a 5-speed Tranix box in that car. Like the Tranix box was the absolute. Even I know, like a Tranix box is a gearbox you had in a 1600 crossbow. I scored like not a 300 brake horsepower G3, with a 2.4 Warrior in her. Like I could not. My jaw hit the ground when he said there was a 5-speed Tranix box. I could not believe it. So like to hear as you said, like to hear that story, that just made my day. When he told me that, and maybe that sounds very silly, but it was to hear that. It was very funny. I thought it was gas.
But we feel the same here in the podcast. We are so privileged to get an opportunity to hear these stories, and for you then to be able to write that down and put that into print, like that must be nearly the equivalent of jumping into the Millington and starting the bottom of Knockalla. That must give you the same kind of buzz, does it?
Well, definitely it was to be able to do an interview like that and to speak to someone who had achieved so much in the sport. And like I know it's easy for me to say it. I know, like I said, I feel like we're in a golden era. There's no doubting that time in 03, 04, 05, 06, 07 and 08 and all those years, they were fantastic years in the sport as well. Like we had the best of the world rally cars, so many people competing in them, and them guys, there was a number of guys out there competing for the championship, and but to be able to get that story and to write about it, then it is very satisfying, and it's something that's new to me, but it's really enjoyable, and it's really enjoyable to put it together, So
yeah,
it's
and then that's because of this now, to get it out there and get it out to the wider public, it's taken a wee bit of time, of course it is, but how has been the reception from people so far to it?
Yeah, like everyone has been very, very positive about it. Everyone that's read it and has seen it or have come back, and they reckon it's a really good job. I was up at the Donegal International, and because I had the kids with me, I was floating around service and stage starts and all, more so than anything, and because of the nature of them. But got to bump into a lot of people, and anyone that has seen it was very highly commended. So that's great feedback to get, and it's still very much kind of a work in progress, kind of like it's always something that can be improved upon, and it's very much evolving still on a month by month basis, but it's the feedback has been very good, and I hope people are enjoying it. All I know is that it's the kind of thing I know I would have liked to have read back as we spoke about when we had our pace notes and car sport and all, and that's literally just what I'm trying to replicate and put out there, and it's just nice to hear then that people are enjoying it, and they're enjoying what they're reading and enjoying what they're seeing in it as well, so.
And like for anybody that hasn't seen it or where do they go or how do they find it?
Basically, I have a Facebook page, but there's a website. Basically, there's a website, www.doublecaution.ie, and you go to that and you can download it there. So it's available for as little as €8.50 per month, and so it's downloadable from there. It comes out every month, and it covers the Tarmac Championship, the National Championship, the National Forestry Championship. There's the Irish Hill Climb Championship, the Northern Ireland Hill Climb Championship, the Northern Ireland Sprint Championship. Then, as we just hit on there, with interviews most months with various competitors. There's other championships as well where we try and follow people competing outside the country as well. So you have the British Historic Championship and the European Historic Rally Championship as well. And we speak to Matt Kearns and Marin Hayes most months to find out what's going on down in Australia, and just touch on what's happening abroad. And Andy Hayes has been very good with his time. Andy usually chats to us on a monthly basis to let us know what it's like from his side of the car, what's going on. Andy's another one that's good for the stories. So we try to get as much as possible as we can into it. There's normally 80 to 90 pages in each edition. So I like to think that people are getting good value in it for what they're getting as well. I always said from when I started it, when I was going to do it, I didn't want to just do a fleeting report. It was going to be kind of the whole hog or nothing, if you get me, like, you know. So that's what we're trying to do anyway.
Well,
You know,
Gary, there's no doubt that your passion there, like, you know, just coming out through the screen. So, like, you know, I encourage anybody. I have a few copies now, and highly recommend it. I couldn't speak highly enough of it. The stories, the detail, the reports are second to none. It's an excellent read. I would definitely recommend anybody. Doublecaution.ie is where you need to go.
Thanks very much, Kevin. I very much appreciate that. Thanks very much.
Yeah, I just want to wish Gary every success with that. It's so fantastic to see another opportunity to promote rallying and, you know, that Irish angle to it as well. It's just fabulous to see.
Yeah, like as I say, like I said before, and I said during it, his passion for rallying it's so obvious, you know, and the way he approaches everything is so professional. So yeah, doublecaution.ie, go and have a look, and you know, you'll definitely not regret it. So that is season 3, episode 33. If you can, please like, share, and if you could rate or even leave a comment, all those things make a huge difference. So that would be gratefully appreciated. So until the next time, take care, speak soon, and bye.
Oh,